Well, hello from Sahara. I finally have a little time to spend with you and to show you a few things that are on the horizon for our world and our people and our own conscious evolution. I will be bringing you some of this in like a 5-part series. So be sure to subscribe because you get a little notice when a new video is out and you won't miss anything. I've done this before and people will come to me later and say, "Where was the part where you said such and such?" And I'll go, "I'm sorry, you're way behind. You just can't catch up at a certain point." So today I'm going to bring you news from Captain Chaos and Big Brother. What do we have with this dynamic duo besides bad fiction and scary novels? Um, I'd call them Captain Greed and Captain Fear because that is what we're running on right now. This is a dynamic duo of Putin and Trump. They are kind of conferring with each other to control the masses. There's one thing that they both hate is free speech. You can't control people with free speech. And Trump is already showing signs that he wants to bear down on news media, social media, and things like that. Putin is already a master at control of the masses. And Trump admires that and wants to get on board with um, controlling the masses so he doesn't have to be annoyed with their silly demands. And he could do whatever he wants and control people. So that's where we are now. Captain Chaos and Big Brother. As you know, I have had an experience of getting flashes. They happen as I'm waking up. This is brand new to me. It is not a dream. It is like somebody put a flash bulb in my face and I see a still picture and it's very real. It's not a dream, and it's always about things on the world news. So I started a series of uh, information conveying the uh, visions I get because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do, obviously, is share this information. And it's happening with other people. We are entering into a new age where we receive information on a telepathic level. I am just quite simply able to tune into uh, large masses of information. And about a week and a half ago, I got a flash that telecommunications and all forms of communications were going to be sporadically interrupted. I put that on the Facebook group called Psychic Predictions for the World, and I invite anybody that wants to put their own visions to join the group and share with us all. So I saw that there was going to start to be interruptions, sporadic. It's going to be phone, it'll be internet, it'll be YouTube, and I did talk to some of the people in the Psychic Predictions group about that. Well, last night some people were reporting that their YouTube was down and then it would come back on. Their Facebook was down, then it would come back on again. That lets me know that already Trump and his allies, and Putin is one of Trump's allies. It, this is so hard to even hear myself saying these words, but it's happening. And most of you will agree. And we're about to, if we're not careful, be under the stern fist of um, dictators. And Trump only likes dictators. He doesn't like free world leaders. He likes all the bad guys that like to control cruelly their masses of people. And so these started happening sporadically. There's a plan in place by Putin, Trump, and their inner circle that if elections and midterms don't go the way Trump wants, communications will be interrupted. It'll be a little here and a little there, but people will have a harder time communicating. How can you organize a strike or a protest if the communications are down? And that's what Trump wants. He doesn't want free press. He hates free press. So does Putin. So that's what we have going on now. I don't think it's going to come to pass. That's like a bad movie. I'll show you some nice things that are going to come to pass, but be aware that this is a possibility. And it started happening last night, and I got this flash about 2 weeks ago. Oh, another thing I got along with free speech. They don't like free speech. Trump hates it. He's asked people that to give him lists of people on Facebook that say bad things about him. It's pretty scary. That's like the Chinese used to go through and kill all the intellectuals. They don't want people thinking too much or communicating too much. And another flash that I got was very simple. I don't think it ties into a Trump-Putin takeover, but it has to do with Microsoft, and they're going to come out with yet another version of Windows 7, 8, or 10. As you know, they have tried to get people to use Windows 10. People don't like it, they want to stay with the 8 and 7 versions. Well, Microsoft is not happy with that. They're wanting to make a new version of Windows, and they will be forcing people to learn and do things they don't want. Now, I don't think this has anything to do with the takeover of communications with Russia and Trump, but it is with the power that is conveyed with mass communications. People want to control that flow, and that's Microsoft. But they are more on a financial basis, and Trump and Putin just want to control the world. So this is like a bad movie. But if you're aware of it, what's going to happen is if Windows comes out with this new whiz-bang PC and upgrade, beware of upgrade. They're not doing it for you, they're doing it for them, and they can be more in control of what you consume. So just switch over to Apple. Use this, and I'm out of here, and go get a nice little Apple. I currently have a Windows 7 here in my PC, and I've talked to computer experts about it. It's coming. More control over what you do with your own information. So what do Captain Chaos and Big Brother have to offer us? Nothing. How can we deal with it? Free speech. And it's going to happen, and just be prepared. Because really their fate, especially Trump's, is like all evil villains. They do themselves in. You don't have to do anything to fight this. they're dumb enough to do themselves in, and they are as we speak. And I want to tell you what's happening on the internet that's very nice is there are a lot of really quite excellent psychics that have little uh, YouTube sites like I do, and they're very good and they are very sincere in what they do. And I must say, I've seen them work very hard and they take what they're doing very seriously. And I'm going to try to invite some of them to come and leave their newest updates on psychic predictions for the world because they do good work. And the thing is, in the Dark Ages, the subconscious and psychic ability to communicate non-verbally was treated with fear and suspicion. However, it is the natural way we are supposed to communicate. We are not meant to communicate verbally. And I'll explain to you how we're moving into an age of nonverbal communication. Think about it. It'd be a little hard for these evil dictators to control us if we're just thinking for ourselves and we don't need machines to communicate. We'll just send it out on the airways. And it's happening. It's happening with the good psychics on the different websites, and they're very good. They're teaching other people how to communicate non-verbally and to trust their intuition. And there are powers that be, such as religious organizations. They don't want you thinking for yourself. God forbid. So these comical dictators they'll just do themselves in. Things are going to happen quite naturally, and evolution is inevitable, no matter what. And we are moving into nonverbal communications. It's happening. They can't change that. I want to give you a very interesting question. Could you explain the world you live in with your great-grandparents or your grandparents? If you were to go back in time to 1900, explain the world that you live in, you couldn't. You wouldn't even know how to convey what it's like in 2018. And it's not like they're dumb or they're slow. It's just that we have officially entered a new age, and I won't be able to go over it all in this YouTube, but we're going to do a continuing series. We have just come out of the Dark Ages. It was here. From here to here. From, I give us it was about 200 BC all the way to 1900. And these were the Dark Ages. You see, our solar system has a day and night too. And the ancients have known about this forever. And in all the other ages, we communicated non-verbally. And but we went into the Dark Ages. We went into nighttime. This is nighttime. And darkness and fear set in. And the Dark Ages were just that. And all the history books are just god-awful terrible when you read about the civilizations since about maybe 300 years before Christ. Jesus came to teach us things as we entered the Dark Ages to help us along, but we killed him. We killed more people in Jesus' name, and that was not what he intended, I don't think. And so we are just right here. 1900. You look at the way life was at the turn of the 20th century, 1900, versus now. It's astounding. There's no way to describe the change. It didn't change for 3,000 years, and then boom, here we are. And the Mayans predicted this, and they put a date on it, 2012. And let me tell you, in the larger span of time, the few years since 2012 doesn't even register on the Richter scale of time. We are in the middle of that change. Now, it's up to us whether we are going to repeat the pattern of destruction. Every time there's a new age, and we've been through plenty, here, 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 all up to the Golden Age. And I'm going to talk a lot about the Golden Age. We have entered the Bronze Age. And there's the good news and the bad news. The Bronze Age is not the darkness, the suspicion, and cruelty of the Dark Ages. It is where we enter into light. We go from bronze to silver to gold. And we hold memories of the Golden Ages in our racial memory. We remember the Garden of Eden. And it certainly wasn't anything like the church portrayed. So those beliefs are going, and we're starting to communicate non-verbally. And so evil dictators and Captain Chaos and Big Brother, they can only do so much before we start literally thinking for ourselves. And this brings me into the subject of the 100th monkey. The 100th monkey was, the theory was developed in the 1950s, and it proved how we communicate non-verbally through great distances. There were some monkeys in some islands near Japan, snow monkeys. They're adorable. And they lived on this little island. So some researchers went to this island and they put sweet potatoes in the sand. Well, the monkeys love that. And they like to eat the sweet potatoes. But they didn't like the sand. So there was just one who went over and washed off their potato. Well, in a certain amount of time, the other monkeys started to copy. I think it was an old female. And they started to copy what she was doing. And don't you know that on another island, hundreds of miles away, with of course, no communication between them, other monkeys started doing the same thing too. And the theory came about that we communicate non-verbally, all species. And there's some little monkeys on the island picked up on what the guys are doing far away and started doing it themselves. So our thoughts, when we think, we think by tuning into different radio frequencies. Now, it's up to you where you put your dial. Do you dial into chaos, or do you dial into peace and love? And that's everybody's choice. You can believe, when you send up your antenna, it's really your aura. You attract beautiful things, or if you're in a chaotic frame of mind, you will tune into chaos. And that's kind of what's happening now. There are some other things that are important to share about the new Bronze Age, but I'll save that for the next video, because I do have some new predictions besides, Trump wanting to interfere with our all communications. He's already said that he hates the free press. We're in real trouble. However, they can't control you or me for very long, because we're starting to tune into each other. And that's a beautiful thing. So, and people like Trump and Putin are leftovers from the Dark Ages. And they just go away. And we can continue our evolution. And so there's many predictions that come along with the new Bronze Age, and new predictions for our most immediate future. Because talking about these great and grand spans of time, and ages of man. That's nice. But we really need to know, we're like the ground troops. Ground troops. We need to know what's going on right now because it's getting crazy. And that's where our spirituality and our faith will, will guide us into a more light-filled future. And do remember that Yogananda, the great, great guru, who was a follower of Jesus, by the way, said he was a guru of the last century, Yogananda, and he wrote and he brought in the New Age. He was an avatar to bring in the New Age, as Jesus was an avatar to bring in the Dark Ages to try to tell us how to deal with it, which we did do a very good job. We just killed everybody, in the name of Jesus. Jesus, it's just pathetic. But now we've had Yogananda come and give us advice for the new Bronze Age, and it is a better time. And we want to use those tools effectively to herald in all the new ages. Let me find my pointer. It disappeared. Hold on. Here we go. So we have about 2,400 years of the bronze, which is a nice time. It's right now, we're at the very beginning of it. And it's a little shaky. We're still in our diapers. And as we move along and mature, we move up to the Silver Age and the Great Golden Age. And so it's looking up, but we have just begun this new journey into higher realms of thinking and ways of being. Putin, Trump, other dictators like them, like Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, this is the last gasp of those that only know fear and chaos. Hence, we have relics from the past. Putin and Trump are Captain Chaos and Big Brother. So we have more to bring you and more predictions for elections, because we have to really focus a little bit here and now, not 2,000 years from now. I quite personally, I like to know what's going to be happening with these crazy elections, and I want to have hope. So I'll bring that to you in the next time I can bring. I'll be doing some astro dice throws and things like that. And as for the new online psychics, that's a new way of communicating. And they were the ones that the church and powers that be wanted to discourage you from even beginning to believe that that was a way to guide your life through intuition and faith in God. They're controlled by fear. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. This gets, it always boils down to kind of dark and light. And the Mayans did mark this as a time of change. Is it a good time of change or a chaotic time of change? Well, a little bit of both. Because there are some things about the Bronze Age that's going to be important for you to know. Especially, it was predicted by the Swamis of ancient India that this would be the time of communication with electricities. That was the way they described it. They didn't really even have a word for electricity. Think about it. They're on a mountain. They don't have light bulbs. They don't have what we have. They just knew. They automatically knew that this would be a time when finer electricities would be going through the air and we'd be tuning into them. That is exactly what's happened. We have radio waves, television, and internet, satellites, and that's only happened recently. And it was predicted. This is not new to the ancient rishis and gurus. They knew this was coming, and the advice is to just be aware of the communications, because the communications can be controlled, and this is one of the most dangerous times of human evolution. And just look at what we have. I have a million ways to explode the planet, kill the planet, wreck the planet, kill everybody, and or we have every chance of using these what the ancient Russians called finer electricities that were in the air. They knew it. They knew a lot of things, and we will too. So I'll come back to you in a couple of days. Subscribe so I can continue telling you the things that are coming up in our near future and things to look forward to in the upcoming centuries. Because if you have children and grandchildren, you want to be attuned to what's going to be happening in the world that you're leaving to them. And God bless the little children. Yogananda said, in every thought, every deed, every word, in every action, you're either walking towards God or away from God. Thank you for having patience with my voice as it heals, and I'll see you out on the airwaves of my dreams.